Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
May 14, 2021, the Ericsson Pays Edition. And we begin with that as our lead story. Ericsson, Swedish company, said it would pay Nokia, a Finnish company, some 80 million pounds, or the equivalent to 97.2 million, to settle a damage claim relating to previously announced allegations it had violated the FCPA. Ericsson settled probes by the DOJ and SEC in 2019 regarding allegations of corruption in various countries. The resolution related to criminal books and records and internal controls violations. A Nokia spokesman said Ericsson's statement about the settlement was accurate, which was uncertainty, risk, expense, and potential distraction from business focus associated with a potentially lengthy and complex litigation led to the settlement. It's rare indeed that you see a competitive settlement based upon bribery and corruptions, but kudos to Nokia for pursuing this and getting a settlement from Ericsson. Next up, Delta will require that new employees be vaccinated. New hires will have to be vaccinated against coronavirus, but the company will exempt current employees from the mandate. While current employees will be exempt, the company spokesman said 75 to 80% of the airline's workforce will be vaccinated, and they would strongly encourage the rest to do so. Unvaccinated employees could face some restrictions, such as not being allowed to work on international flights. So kudos to Delta for requiring vaccination of employees. Next up, from the Wall Street Journal, Apple parts with a prominent executive after employees complain about his comments over women. Apple has parted ways with a prominent advertising technology executive weeks after hiring him following complaints about sexist and misogynistic passages in a memoir he wrote about his time at Facebook. Antonio Garcia Martinez wrote a book called Chaos Monkeys about his experience. He did not respond to multiple messages seeking comment. Apple has largely avoided controversy, but an Apple spokesman said, "We have always tried to strive to maintain an inclusive, welcoming workplace where everyone is respected. Behavior that demeans or discriminates against people has no place." Apple employees had communicated their concern and anger over his hiring on Slack messaging groups, although that didn't stop Apple from hiring him. A group circulated a letter to Apple senior executives asking for an investigation into how he was hired and probably what due diligence, if any, was done. Doesn't look like much. And finally, from the Financial Times, in the Global Insight column, Katrina Manson says the U.S. and the U.K. sent a joint message to the world on rights and corruption over the past several weeks with their joint in close coordination around the sanctions against 2 leading Guatemalans and against Myanmar military for their crackdown on democracy in that country. The UK was the first port of call for the US, and after Brexit, the UK and the US have worked even more closely together. So it's interesting to see our joint governments responding in this matter. We can only hope that this type of cooperation will continue. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.